Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
The earth is in the process of transformation. A separation, such as when a cell divides. Half will remain in the third dimension, the old earth, where there is conflict and violence. The other half will ascend to the fifth dimension, the new earth, where no negativity can exist. All across the world, there are internet content creators that are sharing new information to raise your consciousness and prepare you to ascend to the new earth. Join me, Naima Latif, every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time, and we will introduce to you these voices of enlightenment. Grand Rising, and thank you for joining us on today's edition of The Female Solution, in which we explore voices of enlightenment, people who are giving us some insight about the existence in which we live, helping us to understand who and what we really are, so that we can transform the world from the way it is to the way it should be. Human beings are evolving into a higher level of awareness and are transcending the limitations of old belief systems in which fear prevents us from exploring our greater abilities. Many spiritual masters have walked among us and have demonstrated to us greater skills that often were not understood and therefore were feared. Telepathy is one of those gifts that all beings have, but human beings have forgotten. Telepathy. It is a word that comes from two root Greek words meaning feeling over a distance. Tele, distance, pathy, feeling. So when you're able to send feelings over a distance, you're actually communicating with someone without using speech. We do it all the time unconsciously. This is why you can walk into a room and either get good vibrations because people are full of joy and happiness, or bad vibrations because people have just had an argument and said mean words, and their feeling is still spreading and being felt. And all day long, you're unconsciously responding to feelings traveling over a distance. Everything that happens creates a feeling, which you project. So if you are aware that everything you experience is coming from the feelings being sent and received, then you become more conscious of the kinds of feelings you choose to allow to enter your mind, heart, body, soul complex. For many years, telepathy was treated as a myth, and scientists did various experiments, and then the government did various experiments, and then they discovered that some people had a heightened ability to use these gifts, And they employ them to do what's called remote viewing, being able to see something happening over a distance. They were actually doing spy work. And so many of these experiments with the human mind and the capabilities of the human mind have remained secret, so that if someone brings it up, they're treated as if they're not mentally stable. But more and more people are rediscovering their natural gifts. Telepathy is actually the universal language of communication for all beings. We are born with it. We are born with the ability to communicate our feelings over distance. This is what babies do. They send the mother feelings. Now, she tends to be more attuned to this telepathic communication because the baby has been doing this even before it leaves her body and breathes on its own outside her body. But in the womb, the baby is constantly communicating with the mother. Whether it's hungry or uncomfortable, whatever is happening, there is that telepathic communication. And even before a child learns speech, whatever the language that's spoken, they are communicating telepathically. Even before they cry, they send the signal that they're hungry or uncomfortable, wet or in pain. And the mother, when she's in tune, she picks up that signal. Now, we call that sort of thing instinct. And whatever you call it, it is, in fact, communication over distance, telepathy. We have the same kind of communication if you have pets, if you have animal friends that are living in your home, that are part of your family. They're not necessarily speaking your language, but they do speak the universal language in telling you when they want to go outside, or they're hungry and need to be fed, or maybe you need to change their water. And you get a feeling, and so you do it. Now, if you are distracted on your phone and you're not paying attention, not tuning in, they may get impatient with you and start to make noise. If they're a cat, they may meow. If they're a dog, they may whine. And then if you're still ignoring them, they may jump up on your lap. Hey, pay attention. I need you to go out. I need you to let me out. Or I'm hungry. You forgot to feed me. Whatever it is. But before the physical communication is the telepathic communication. You have people who may say, well, I have a green thumb and I take good care of plants. Even plants communicate telepathically, reminding you when they need watering, or maybe you need to open the curtains and give them sunlight. The thought will just be dropped into your mind. Happens all the time. And if you're in tune and you're picking up when they need water, when they need sunlight, then your plants are going to flourish because you have tuned into their needs. Everything is tuned in to this universal system of communication. And there's a reason for that, because we're all part of the one thing that is creation. And so we're always all connected, not just on Earth, but all throughout the galaxy. Now, for the human being that has not been allowed to think beyond Earth existence, or is stuck on the limitations of what so-called modern science has said that they will allow you to know, then you are often forced to ignore that which you do know intuitively, simply because we have been conditioned in our school system not to accept anything that people who have designated themselves as authorities on knowledge have stated as what they consider fact. So our education is often miseducation because it's limited by the understanding of those who have placed themselves as authority. But these are the same people who will insist that there may or may not be life on other planets. And we should be beyond that by now. There's talk about extraterrestrials. Do they exist? We should be beyond that by now. It's quite obvious that there is life all over the universe. Life that has greater intelligence than us. And now that people are seeing aircraft that are obviously powered by something greater than our current knowledge in the way we power our aircraft, they obviously have discovered and are using information that we have not yet had access to. So many times people will get the inspiration to invent something, a new invention. And those who have knowledge have the ability to send a thought, to share an idea from the higher realms of intelligence with those who are seeking to find a way to make life better. So telepathically, they send the thought, and the person receives the thought. And then they create the invention. Because thoughts are being sent and received all the time by beings who are existing beyond our realm. Because telepathic communication is not limited to time or distance. The well-known hypnotherapist, Dolores Cannon, in her work, has regressed people to lives in which they were, in fact, part of communities that came from other worlds. And they explained scientific facts that the present person could not possibly have known. Because we, as eternal beings, we have had many, many lives in many different bodies on many different planets. And so, because we're part of a universal existence, we're able to communicate above and beyond our physical voices. Telepathic communication is something that happens all the time. Children are born with it, but the first time they are punished with pain because of something they've done, they learn to lie. And because telepathic communication is honest, heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul, no deception, once you begin the process of deception, you lose the capacity for that open, honest, mind to mind, heart to heart, soul to soul communication, which is telepathy. So we, the human being, we have diminished our capacity. And yet those species around us, they are still using theirs. The dogs, the cats, the birds, the squirrels, the possums, those animals that are in our midst, in our urban environment, as well as the animals that are in non-urban environments. And there are those who have learned how to tune in to those species that are in non-urban environments and to speak to them telepathically. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to bring you an experience by animal communicator Anna Breitenbach. As a research follows her and her skills and being able to communicate mind to mind, heart to heart, soul to soul with animals who are troubled and need to explain to someone who understands. And once we recognize that every being is imbued with divine consciousness, then we can even see nature differently. Those beings around us that we have deemed as less intelligent will discover that all life has divine intelligence, no matter what the species. And when we learn this, it heightens our own intelligence. So we'll be right back after this quick break, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We're going to bring you some real proof of the universal language of telepathy. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome to Master Force with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
We're back. I'm Naima Latif, and you are watching Voices of Enlightenment. And today we want to take a serious look at the universal language of telepathy and how it transcends human communication and even transcends species, time, distance. But most importantly, once we have become aware that others are just as intelligent and have feelings, then we develop empathy. And then we can relearn that ability to communicate feelings over a distance. But now let's take a look at this experience by Anna Breitenbach as a researcher in South Africa, studies her skills, and as a scientist is a bit skeptical, but recognizes that there is something when she sees an obvious sign that Anna has the ability to communicate with those who are non-human.
and having studied animals since I was a very little kid, I see that the animals have these skills, and it's obvious that they do. And a lot of researchers will tell you that they do. The phenomenon of directional bonding, homing pigeons, for instance, how strange is it that a bird can fly directly to a point on a landscape, having never been there, being put in a basket and taken on a crazy route to get there. And they fly exactly back to where they came from. Or when I've been involved with radio telemetry studies, and the mountain lion that's got the collar on it's flown the 100 miles directly to the east into the mountains, again into a place it's never been. The cat beelines straight back to the suburban neighborhood where it's been caught. When I see that kind of thing, I know that there's something else happening, and I feel like that directional bonding is exactly what I'm experiencing when I'm tracking. What we're doing when we talk about intuitive tracking and connecting people in this manner may be the most important thing there is right now, because it gets right to the heart of connection. When people have connection, they feel compassion, they see the earth, they feel the other life forms, including the human beings. And they become part of a fabric of we instead of I.
Even after everything that I've experienced with Anna and spending all that time with her, there's that scientific controlled, sort of rational part of my brain still has doubts. So I wonder what it will take to totally convince me.
And then a unique opportunity presented itself. In the course of my work, I had come across the story of Jörg Olsen, an ex-policeman turned conservationist. Jörg and his wife Karen set up the Jukani Predator Park. Here, many big cats rescued from bad zoos and canned hunting farms are offered a home and get lifetime care. Jörg has a remarkable relationship with his cats, and he handles them in a way I have seldom seen before. But there was one big cat here that he did not know what to do with.
Let's take out my things. Let's try on this one.
This black leopard, called Diablo, had been rescued from a European zoo where he'd been abused. That experience had made him suspicious and vicious. All he did was sit in his night shelter and snarl at anyone who came close to him. 6 months in, and Jörg was at a loss as to how to deal with this cat.
That whole atmosphere there was a vibe of aggression and of, I hate you and I will kill you. And, the one encounter I had with him, he sent me to hospital 1 bite, 1 week.
Here, I thought, was the perfect case. If Anna could get this animal to change his behavior and become well-adjusted, then I would have no choice but to acknowledge that she was in dialogue with animals. It took me some time, however, to convince Jörg to bring in Anna.
He's a dangerous cat. He's very, very dangerous. He's towards me and towards everybody else. In my opinion, the chances of an animal communicator changing that, it'll take a lot to convince me. I honestly do not believe that an animal can talk to a human or communicate with a human. I've had animals my whole life. We give them commands, we give them instructions, and they do it as we habituate them, basically. But I'm very skeptical to think that an animal like Diablo will communicate or can communicate with humans. I am desperate, however. I do not want to lose him.
I made sure that Anna had no information on Diablo or his history before she came to speak to the black leopard. I was nervous to see what would happen, as this animal never let anyone near his night shelter without a lot of snarling and growling. But the minute he saw Anna, he calmed down and let her kneel right outside and look at him.
This beautiful black leopard that you've asked us to communicate with is very overawed by his new surroundings, having come from a very cramped and stressful place for him. That this place has been provided for him, but he's been quite conditioned by a very unfortunate past. He doesn't want much to do with humans as a result. He's immensely powerful, and I mean not just physically, which you well know and respect, but he's immensely powerful with a wisdom and an energetic presence and personality that is far bigger than anyone has ever appreciated about him before. And he commands a certain amount of respect for that. Again, not in a needy way, but really just out of, by virtue of who he is as a being. There's a very particular thing about his name, Diablo. He wants that name changed because he doesn't like the associations with it, the blackness, the darkness, the diabolical. And when asking him about his past before coming here, he shows concern for two young cubs that were next to him. He's asking what happened to them with a great sense of care and concern.
We actually forgot about that. When we went to fetch him, there was so much excitement about bringing him back here. It actually slipped my mind until she said, he asked about the two cubs. And then we've remembered there were two little young leopard cubs next door to him that came from Rustenburg. And they were sort of semi-wild. They weren't hand-reared. And it just slipped my mind. And when they talked about it, I couldn't believe, I actually did believe it. I mean, then I really believed that they were communicating.
And she communicated with him, and when we spoke to her and she relayed all the information back to us, firstly I didn't believe her. It's things that anybody can think out, and you can think, And then she said something about the cubs that were with him. And that changed this whole thing, because now all of a sudden, that's something that she didn't know about.
And I've also reassured him that you have no demands of him here, that you're quite happy to not make any physical demands of him or any expectations for display or interaction, that you're really willing to let him be how he wants to be. And that's given him an enormous sense of relief. Yeah. And having told him that is for the first time made him actually genuinely interested in now exploring a bit further. Now that he feels that he's not being asked to come out more, he's genuinely interested in being relaxed enough to have a natural curiosity come out and to actually expand his horizons a bit.
And Yeh was just stunned when the black leopard walked out of his night shelter into the larger enclosure later in the afternoon. In the 6 months that the cat had been here, Yeh had never seen him out of the night shelter. He then decided to rename the leopard Spirit.
We told him that same afternoon that we're not going to call him Diablo anymore. And we understand and we agree with that, the diabolical side of it. That's not what he is to us. And we'd like to change his name to Spirit. As I walked to him, I thought, listen, he asked about the two young leopards. And I thought, well, I'm here now. There's nobody else here. I'm not going to look like a fool if he ignores me. I'll tell him what happened to those leopards. And as I called him and I said Spirit, and he was looking at me, he was lying like that. I said, with regard to the two little leopards, I just want to assure you and I want to tell you that they're safe. And I couldn't help it. I just said to him, wow, you're beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh, that's mooi. That's mooi.
And he gave me that, oh. And I thought, what's happening here? And I said to him, You understand what I'm telling you if I say to you that you're the most stunning cat?
Oh.
And I spoke to him and he answered me about 19 times. And he just sat there and he was totally relaxed. It's the first time since we had him that I felt at ease with him. I felt that he was relaxed and he understood me. It was, to say that, I don't know what it feels like for him. For me, it was the most amazing moment.
Later that afternoon, Anna came back to check up on Spirit and to see how he was doing.
I'm asking him now about how he experienced the communication from Jochen through the fence. And he said it's the first time that someone has directly expressed to him verbally appreciation for who he really is, not how they see him to be. And that really surprised him. He shows me an image of literally stopping in his tracks by surprise at that sense of just this wall of appreciation coming towards him. He is so relieved that nothing's being demanded of him here. He's just so relieved. It's like this weight is lifted from his shoulders. And when he was grunting back, he said he was saying thank you for the thank yous. So for each thank you he was getting, he was saying thank you back. Is there anything you'd like to say about that feedback?
I think we'll talk about it this a bit later. I can't listen. So we'll talk about this later. It's okay. I'm overwhelmed.
WordPress.com is professional WordPress hosting.
Yes, that part always makes me cry. But to discover that this being, this big cat, this leopard, this panther, had a consciousness, feelings. It was overwhelming to Yerk, who ran the conservation location and rescued animals, but he had seen them as animals. And now he saw this being in his care as a being with intelligence and feelings, concern for cubs that had been with him, concern for their well-being, and being able to show appreciation for someone respecting him for who he is. Don't we all want to be seen and respected for who we are? Well, this was a demonstration of what happens when we learn that all beings are the same on the inside, no matter what your species is, no matter what body you're wearing. You have feelings, you have intelligence, and you have the power to communicate mind to mind, heart to heart, soul to soul. And this is the universal language that we can all speak once we realize that our fellow beings are just as intelligent as we are. So we're going to take another break and come right back, and let's talk about communication over a distance beyond Earth. Are we able to communicate with those beings outside of our realm that would like to communicate with us if we could get over our fear? We'll be right back after this next break, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back, so just stay with us.
brother, in which we're doing this documentary for Douglas Robinson, Your Death Will Not Be in Vain.
He was a heck of a great dude. And I love Doug. Doug loved me.
Just being around him, he had a good spirit. He was a healing person.
They are there.
Get SROs back.
When you give to the poor,
should not be forced out of their neighborhoods when it goes through a period of transformation.
Because there are too many people who are losing their homes to taxes because they can't pay a $1,000 tax bill.
Have you seen all the solar farms popping up everywhere? You know, the big fields with the solar panels. There's one in our community. They produce electricity using the clean energy of the sun to send to the power grid to reduce our energy costs. Because not everybody can get solar panels put on their roof the way I have, but everybody can enroll for free to share the energy produced by the solar farms. That's why they were built. You know you're supposed to be getting a 10 to 20% savings on your bill for that, right? Illinois has a goal to transition by 2050 to 100% clean energy. So everybody needs to be connected. People in other communities are already getting their savings. So I'll be by to see you because they want to make sure you get your savings as well. It just takes a few minutes. I'm Naima Latif. Call me if you have any questions. 312-849-3456.
Yes, we want to participate in the cleaning and greening of the earth, because when we use clean energy, then we can reduce and ultimately eliminate pollution, which is killing the life forms around us. We're one system. And when we start cleaning up the environment, we're saving lives and ultimately saving our own. Understanding how existence works is challenging for humanity because we're coming out of ignorance. And ignorance is largely as a result of us listening to people who don't have knowledge, claiming to be the authorities. People who are lacking in understanding about the world and the universe in which they live, because everything that they believe is based in fear of what is misunderstood. So if someone looks different than you, you fear them. If someone comes from a different place than you, you fear them. If someone has a different lifestyle than you, you fear them. And as a result, you strive to force them to be like you and force them to believe as you believe. All throughout Earth's history, we have been visited by higher evolved beings that attempted to share information. But often this information was misinterpreted or reinterpreted in order to reestablish systems of control over people. However, telepathic communication removes the ability for those who are claiming to be experts to maintain control, because it's not controllable. When someone can send you information directly to your mind, no one else can control that. And this is why those who received information were often attacked and sent to insane asylums in order to silence them and prevent them from using the information that they received that is not controllable by those who wish to maintain authority. We are now coming into a time and place where beings outside our realm are choosing to communicate using that universal language. And there are more and more people stepping forward to share their experiences. And now we have a worldwide web of information, a system of sharing in real time things that are happening. So there's no way to filter out that which is contrary to what has been acceptable to teach as reality by those who position themselves as authorities. That means all of our systems based on false information are going to crumble. They are crumbling in our very midst, before our very eyes. As we begin to rely more on that which is uncontrollable by governments, by corporations, by institutions. People are receiving information from outside our realm. And there are those who are participating in the earth experience, who are even remembering that this is part of their mission to introduce the family of earth to the reality of life all across our universe that we have access to. If we can just let go of our fear and indoctrination to dismiss that which is not understood by those who fancy themselves scholars. So we want to share with you a filmmaker, one who has chosen to use the medium of video to produce a series to educate those who are unaware of the reality of existence beyond our realm. Alaye recalled when he was about 4 years old, after contact with his space family, that he was in fact from the Pleiadian star system. And his mission was to help the family of Earth become aware of the greater reality existing outside of our Earth. Many civilizations higher advanced who had come here to share information. Well, he produced a video series. It's on YouTube. And you can go to 777 Alaye, Alaje. He said that's his Pleiadian name. Hidden in plain sight, right there on YouTube. And this series, I believe there's 24 videos in the series, gives very basic insight about the history of what has happened on Earth and the sharing of information by extraterrestrials over time, helping us to evolve. And now we're at a point where we are ready to remember. And those who are choosing to communicate are often using that universal language that no one can intercept or deny. So what happens when we learn from those outside our realm who are choosing to ignore those who fear? Well, let's take a look at part 9 of Alaye's series, Love is the Solution to Everything. And let's take a look at a bit of information he is sharing.
Greetings, this is Alaya from the light dimensions of the Pleiades. In all the messages, I said how important it is to develop spirituality in order to create light energy. The Earth needs a lightful energy to eliminate all the negative energies. In this higher frequency, no negative energy can exist. For this reason, the dark rulers of the world government are trying to prevent this. They do not just sit and watch, they have plans. And one of their plans is to create extreme chaos, and only a real spiritual human with a highly spiritual energy would keep a clear mind. I'll tell you now one of their big plans, from which I hope that it will never happen, because they want to prevent the transformation and outsmart you. As some Earth people know, the dark rulers have suppressed for many generations the reality of extraterrestrials and their contacts with them, and they have killed witnesses or ridiculed them. But since there are now more and more people who have experienced this themselves and have seen many spaceships, they can no longer keep this issue as secret as they want. Therefore, they have a different plan now. They have the plan to use their puppets, the TV politicians, to admit officially that there are aliens and that they have a cooperation with them. The dark government gives only information that is in their interest. They will try to present themselves as heroes through a media campaign, just as they have always done it to sanitize their public image. And at the same time, they will tell you only small, unimportant truths and concealing their true motivations. They will say that this has been kept secret because the public was not ready for this kind of information. It would have been a fear of mass panic. That is the reason why you hear this kind of talking in movies. They are built into movies on purpose to affect people psychologically. Of course, they will deny the issue of abductions. After long discussions on this issue, they have the plan to introduce the public the negative aliens they are in contact with, supposedly being benevolent humanoids that they are here to help humanity. And of course, they want to present this as a big TV event. That's why they have put these scenarios in many movies in order to prepare Earth people mentally for it. That's the time when your alarm should ring, because the lightful spiritual extraterrestrials of the Federation of Light have no collaboration with the dark government of the Earth, because our assistance has been rejected for decades. The governments had rejected us because they would not get technology or weapons, but only spiritual help until they are spiritual enough for higher technology. The Earth governments work only with negative extraterrestrials, and their only objective is to control and enslavement of the Earth humans. After the Earth people have become accustomed to the aliens, the Earth governments want to make advertising to reinforce the control technologies, such as the chips under the skin. This, of course, is a flattery, in order to make the Earth humans take it at free will, like they have done it for vaccines and control cameras. You will get to hear it constantly. That is for your own good, for your safety, and so on. And as always, some interviews are presented with paid people to testify how important these chips are. At the same time, they want to continue to organize terror attacks so they can declare a national emergency in order to use more the military. Do not forget, they always create a problem so later they can appear as a savior if people are demanding desperately for help. Later, they plan to say that there are even better aliens and want to present you the Greys and Reptilians, those who are keeping Earth in slavery for thousands of years. Then they would tell you, you shall not pay attention to their appearance, but look on their alleged love of humanity. Do not forget, these beings have technologies that are millions of years ahead of yours, such as 3D holograms, and they will use them to demonstrate the Earth people alleged miracles. In addition, they have mental powers to paralyze you. I know this because I met both of them, and they tried to do it on me, and only with my light energy I could chase them away. They will cure diseases in order to attract people to their side. But of course, they will not tell you that they themselves have created all the diseases to appear afterwards as a savior in time of need. Their whole performance would have the only purpose of demonstrating their power and to tell the people psychologically that they are the rulers. And they want to be celebrated. The nature of the reptiles is cheating, so that the masses do not realize what they are planning. With the help of technology, the dark side wants to create natural disasters in order to create panic, fear, and chaos. They would say then that the end of the world had come and that the earth is going to be destroyed. This is also the reason why they show you all the time disaster movies, so that the people's fear give their plan even more energy. And people who are scared and desperate would take everything they get offered. The governments plan to tell you that you can only survive if you leave the Earth with the alien spaceships. And those who refuse, they want to force them with military. Therefore, I'm warning you, never let yourself be implanted with a chip, if the governments ever would make advertising for that. Those who fly with the reptilians would realize too late that it is a trap, because they will use as slaves, or in experiments, or as food. Reptilians are doing this since billions of years, and see all the planets as their property and food source. Only spiritual people would then be able to feel that something is not right. At the same time, the dark governments want to make a campaign against the good extraterrestrials, and they will call us negative invaders. You see, therefore, why I'm telling you in all my messages how important it is to develop spirituality. Only spiritual people will then be able to distinguish light and darkness. Only a positive collective consciousness of love can stop the plan of the dark side. If enough people would have love energy, the mass consciousness would experience a positive change, and the transformation of the earth would be smooth. Earth people have to decide what kind of future they want. I told you love is the key. Good extraterrestrials radiate spiritual love energy from their bodies and from their spaceships. If you don't feel the love energy at extraterrestrials, you should leave. We of the Federation of Light will also appear, but in a very different way. ETs of Light would never force you to anything, and you have the choice to accept our love and help or not. We respect the free will. Every soul must now decide whether she wants to go the way of light or not. All those who have a spiritual awareness will have no difficulty to recognize us and feel us. But those who are destroying their aura and energy with drugs and hate will have difficulties to stand our high energy of love, and they even would be scared. The dark side is counting on the fear and dark thoughts of the people who are still trapped in the lower vibrations. Without knowing it, these souls are supporting the chaos around them. I can only repeat again and again, become a real light worker, because only if you have a strong light in your aura, you can transform the world positively. Keep your body free of all drugs, toxins, or negative emotions, because they cause that your energy is weak. With a weak energy, you can't achieve anything, and you get influenced by the dark energies.
There you have it. And this is the battle that is going on right in front of our faces, right in plain sight. It is a spiritual battle, but if you are of the higher vibration of love, then you are able to tune in to those who are also sending love. We communicate every moment of every day telepathically. If you are not intoxicated with substances, then your spiritual antenna is working and you can receive that which is being sent to you. If you are in fear, then your spiritual antenna is not working and you will be easily deceived by those who manipulate by fear. It's very simple. You're either operating from love or fear. If you're operating from fear, then you're tuned into messages that are sent to those in fear, and you will make decisions that are not in your best interest. And this is every moment of every day, all day long. So for those who have observed what's happening in the world, if you choose to tune in to negative news, you will stay in fear because the intention is to keep your vibration low so that you cannot tune into the higher vibrations of love, of safety, security, kindness, respect, all of the higher vibrations being emitted by those who have your best interest at heart. You will agree to participate in things which are designed to damage you, as many people recently did. And those who know already understand exactly what I'm talking about. The people who were tuned into the higher vibrations did not succumb to the fear mongering. And so, if we wish to experience the new earth of love, peace, and joy, we must tune in to the communication that's happening all around us, all day, every day. That is the universal language that we're all speaking to each other all the time. And our sister Zelda says, fear keeps us in a place we don't want to be longer than we want to be there. Yes, it does. All the time. But we don't have to experience fear. If we're projecting love, we will be able to receive love. And even if someone is teaching us something different than what we have been taught in our religions, we can have an open mind to hear and feel and know when something is true and for our best interest. So practice your universal language with all of those you encounter. Feel them. Feel their vibration. Send out positive vibrations. And you will see your life experience change. Live from the heart. And when you choose to look at information, be selective of the things that you choose to influence your mind. Tune into those YouTube channels and Facebook pages and podcasts that are uplifting, motivating, encouraging, inspiring. Not the negative news that frightens you, but the news that inspires you to love. I'm Naima Latif. Thank you for joining us. And come on back this evening for the on-air daily news hour. We're going to share with you someone who is proposing to run the city of Chicago and perhaps follow a higher system of helping those who need help. Higher spiritual principles. Are we ready? Join us tonight, 7 p.m., here on the Female Solution Global Broadcast. And until next time, we want you to continue to shine your light. See you next time. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.